What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Survivor Now podcast. My name is Randy. I'm joined by former Survivor Australia player Nina Twine. And today we have the honor to speaking with Valeria, the 16th castaway eliminated from Survivor Australia Titans versus Rebels, and the third member of the jury, and also my chicken parmesan buddy. I mean, look, before we actually get into the questions, you got that first steal. There was so much, like, that's the type of food you need in the game. And you paid what, like 130 for that?
120 to be precise.
That is absolutely crazy. I'm shocked more people weren't trying to bid for that. Well, Valeria, thank you so much for joining us. I wish it was for a better reason than you getting sent home on what was, I've got a lot of questions about that tribal council that I'm going to have to get out of you here. But we always like to start on a lighthearted note. So we want to know, how did you spend your evening last night watching that episode playback?
Thank you so much for this beautiful introduction, Randy, and so excited to speak to you and Nina today. I was just with my partner last night watching it together. I feel like when I'm on my own kind of watching it, it's a little bit better for self-reflection. And, when you're so anxious, you don't know how the edit's going to go, what's going to be shown. So I feel like it was just a safe place having just my partner next to me and, watching all this disaster unfold.
You call it a disaster, but if you're going to go out in a big way, that's how to do it, because we were on the edge of our seats. And I was almost hoping when they showed Raymond saying, whoever I vote is going home, I was hoping that he would go somewhere else and shock everyone. But I mean, this had to be a shock to you. So I just want to know what was going through your mindset heading into that tribal council. Obviously it was very big on everyone pile on Raymond. But from what the edit showed us, you were like, I don't really want to do this easy vote. Let's mix things up. Let's have some fun and get out a big threat, which I thought was an excellent idea from your side of things. How close were you to actually doing something at Tribal Council or throwing a rogue vote out there? Or was it just, I have to go with the group here?
You know what? It's crazy you're asking this because, it happened a while ago and I'm still reliving this moment in my head so many times just to see if I would do any better or do it differently. Because I was super anxious going into Tribal Council, not because I thought it was me. I was just anxious something is going to happen. I didn't know what it is, but your whole body is just feeling it. And it's the gut feeling that was inside of me battling with my head and morality of that whole situation. And, with we having Scotty leaving the camp with, talking about mental struggles and, half of the camp crying, talking how hard it is. At the beginning, and my game got destroyed at that point. And I was like, you know what? It was a welfare of someone else. The game is not bigger than someone else's mental health. Let's move on. I'll sort something out. I'll find the way to play a better game and figure out another move. And then when that happening to Raymond, and the guy done top job, living miserable existence on the camp, I was thinking maybe that opened up kind of a window to him to feel okay to be vulnerable. That's why he was like this. And I was battling my own thoughts. I was like, okay, this is a perfect opportunity in the game to actually play. I'm a competitive player. I like it. And I feel like I can, if it would be someone else, I would have tried to push it harder. But because Raymond is a bit a quieter player, I just wasn't sure if I have right to do that to him. So I was mostly trying to figure it out. What's the best way? Is it the morality aspect of it and just, don't risk it because we don't know how it's going to end for him. And, but at the same time, I wanted to play my game. I was like, I couldn't get revenge with Viola. I needed to figure out something else. And I felt like that was the perfect opportunity for me to do so. But I wanted to know a bit of a reassurance from someone else. Like when you play the game, you're by yourself, you're getting paranoid with your own thoughts. I was like, am I seeing it? Am I doing it right? What's right or wrong? You want like an angel, not devil. You want the angel in your head, kind of give you a bit of encouragement to do things. So I spoke to Mark. I was like, Mark, it might sound brutal, but what if we do this? And I wanted just to hear him out because I wanted someone to speak to me. And he raised a very good point. Like, for jury viewer perspective, it's that's the case, and the guy is feeling sick. It's not going to be a good look. So I kind of, put it to grave all my thoughts, and I was like, okay, maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe I should really not speculate on someone else's feeling sick. Plus, I thought it would be such a mockery to someone that we just lost for mental health. I was like, surely this guy could just do this. But it did. Like, it was very hard for me to not believe him, because he'd done a top job of not eating, not drinking, sleeping with his face down in the sand. Like, he looked horrible, man. And even like, watch him doing challenges. And it was bad. It was just like no interest at all, hating it all, and just like dragging himself out and just not wanting to be a part of it so bad. It was like a bad energy. I was like, man, this guy needs to go. And like, but who knew? Who knew?
You would have never guessed that.
You would have
Absolutely
never, not at all, especially with him having his face in the sand. Like, of course, as a viewer, we know what's happening. And I'm thinking, dude, dramatic. But I have also seen people where we had somebody on Blood versus Water had to leave, and they legit were like laying in camp all day, looking very, sickly, not wanting to be there. So I understand that perspective. And kind of talking about your battle with that decision, something that I want to know, because you kind of hinted at it here in this conversation, is what was your strategy going in the game? Because you're not a quiet player. You're not somebody who's going to shy away even in situations like this. So you get that call, you're going on Survivor. What was your idea of how you wanted to play this game?
All right, so I'm getting a call, and only 2 weeks before flying to Samoa, I knew that, I have to figure out the plan. So what I started to do, I started watching Survivor because I haven't watched that before. So it was very experience for me. So I had time to watch 2.5 seasons and, trying to get as much information from what I've seen, trying to figure out what the split vote means, the basics of it. And when I was going into the game, and I was like, sure, I need to align myself with someone who is a big fan of the game. So if I don't know something or what potentially could play out, I would have someone that can help me to brainstorm some ideas, because I might just be very not aware of what the other ways that you can play the game. But all I knew at the very beginning, yes, I'm a little bit too straightforward with people, and my strategy might be not the perfect way to play it. It is me. It is my character. I do face people. I like a bit of confrontation. I am okay to tell something to people and then go back in the camp if it doesn't work and sit in front of them while they wanted to kill me inside of them. I'm okay with that feeling. I was just, I was struggling with, like, I had my plan, I'm going to be bubbly, I'm going to be social on this. But once you get in the game, whatever you think, it's just not going to work like this. It depends with who you get along with. Who do you have to work with? That's like the main part of it. And sometimes you're just not vibing with people for particular reasons and you don't know why. So I feel like going to the game, all I knew, I will have to bring my legacy of being loyal to the core and, play my game. Being a black and white player might be a good strategy because people are not scared of me too much. They was like, you know what, at least this girl, if she makes decisions, she's going to be there. She's not going to change and twist and do something else. It's a bit easier to expect the moves from me than from someone else. So I felt like that was a bit of a comfort for some players. At the same time, I'm not very flexible when it comes to playing a bit of a sneaky game. I'm not seeing other options, and I can burn some bridges. So now I know, learning a few lessons from my own game, don't burn it all the way. Burn it on top.
Yeah.
Let the spark go. Keep the base there. The base is very important. Don't destroy the base of it. So you can build up to it. So that was one of the things I definitely did getting out of that experience. But I truly believe being open and honest was something that I would not be able to play any other way. Like, I just couldn't hold myself, I guess, from being a quieter player and be very safe, which I know might be not the best strategy to go ahead with.
No, I love it.
Well, I mean, you brought up the relationships and how you had to find someone who was a super fan of the game. And we're going to get to some of those positive relationships that you had. We asked the fans earlier to send us some questions, and so many people asked about you and Viola. So we're going to get to that. But you also mentioned burning bridges. And so I want to look at that first, your relationship with Caroline this season. and basically how that developed, because that was really interesting to watch the dynamic between you two. Because at one point we were getting this very dramatic edit where it's like V versus Carol going head to head. These two just cannot work together. And then we see the barbecue happen where you joined Mark on this barbecue and he was able to bring everyone, the OG Titans, back together. And then you guys started to work together. So walk us through that whole dynamic where when you realized, hey, maybe I should work with her rather than trying to get her out of this game.
It was such a funny moment, even looking at it now. And I was like, we just were enemies a few hours before. I said everything that I felt like saying. And then when we went back in the camp, Caroline was like kilometers away from me everywhere I would go, because she just don't want to be in like the same area.
It had to be very awkward out on the island, I have to say that.
It was awkward for her, but you know what? I enjoy putting people in the sport and feel a bit awkward. It's funny. It's a game. I just want to see how people handle. I feel like if I shoot it, for example, at someone like Ferris, he'll just shoot it back at me, and then it would be like, some sort of funny conversations back and forth, and then we're going to be settled all in, and it's going to be all fine. Where with Caroline, I didn't realize how bad it hurt her. Like at the barbecue, she was like, well, I never heard anyone said anything like this before. That was the most hurtful thing in my entire life. And if I only knew, because when you're playing the game, you want to shake some things up, and sometimes when you can't do the move and it just doesn't work for you, you just want to sparkle something.
Make it a little spicy, yeah.
A little bit, but I just took the wrong turn, because she took it way too personal, and I definitely didn't mean anything when it comes to her personal life and her experience as a human being. And that's why I apologized for it. I said, I genuinely apologize for making you feel this way. I was like, I'm not a bully. I am not speculating of making you feel down on you as a human. I said, I was just trying. I was talking about the game. I did have a few other things outside of Viola that I said out to her that I didn't like. And that whole, nature and environment that kind of backfired with what I said to her, it didn't really do any favors for her as a person. So I apologize for this. It wasn't something I truly believed in terms of, you don't deserve it. Like, it was very harsh of what I said. So I definitely regret this part of the moment. And that's why when I apologized, it was genuine. I truly spoke to her how I felt after that. My apology. And obviously Caroline is a better person, and me, getting more mature right in the middle of the of the show definitely helped us to resolve the situation. And we both thought, my God, there's so many people we can still target, because we have such a crazy energy between each other. Let's kind of put it at someone else and target someone else, because both of us were so fiery about it. So I was like, let's use it to our advantage. Let's put the guns down and let's focus on someone else.
I love that.
No, that is amazing. It was so fun to watch you two at the barbecue be like, at first I was like, ooh, I would not want to be a fly on the wall here. I'm telling you, this has to be the most heated barbecue party I've ever seen. It was almost like two cousins who haven't seen each other in forever and like never talk, getting together and being like, hey, how have you been? And so it was so fun. And then on the flip side of things, we do have to talk about your relationship with Viola and Mark. You guys formed this bond really early on, and specifically Viola. I mean, it almost looked like she was your sister out on the island. It's like everywhere she was, we saw you with her. And obviously
And
it
Caroline.
had to Caroline, yeah. And it had to sting when you get to this challenge and you saw that she just got voted out, and we saw you kind of look over and be like, anybody want to own up over here and tell me why my best friend is not in this game right now? So walk us through your relationship with Viola. And the fans, the number one question we got is, are you guys still really close friends? So let us know kind of where you and Viola stand at the moment.
So with Viola, it's crazy how in my life, whoever I meet someone and who are my friends, I kind of have the good energy about them immediately. And that connection is never get broken. Like, I don't have fights with my friends that I have for years. because I feel like that's my gut feeling, and my kind of body leads to the right people in my life, and that's kind of the blessing I have of recognizing the right people in my life. So when I got into the game, you obviously don't have expectations of, you know, having a true friendship developing, because, you know, everyone, you know, trying to play their own game. However, with Viola, it was a very different feeling. It was a genuine connection from the start. It's, you know, maybe, you know, sharing a story of, you know, of immigrant, or, you know, very rough upbringing, or like, you know, a lot of stories that connected us from the beginning, but I think we saw it in each other's eyes. It was just something there that was like, girl, I got you and you got me. And I felt like it was just unspoken connection that we didn't really need to reconfirm with each other. So it was very genuine, and that's why, you know, getting out of the game, we caught up after, and we spent so many hours talking to each other. Like we went to the club once to do some dancing and stuff, and we just, instead of dancing, we danced for like 15 minutes, and then we got out of it, and we went to the disabled bathroom, we sit on the floor, and we spoke for 3 hours in a row. We just didn't want to dance. We don't want anyone around us. Just 3 hours in the bathroom of the club, just talking to each other. And she was like, it was the best time of my life going to the club. I was like, man, this is the best.
You're going to remember that bathroom forever now.
Forever.
So it's such a genuine connection. We went to a few events together. We're just vibing together. It's just like, it's my person. So it's something that, you know, like people say, oh, it's, you know, it's a great bonus to have a friend after the game. It wasn't a bonus. It was actually the main part of the game. Like, you live your life, you meet some people in your journey that are very meaningful, and they can change your life because they share the perspective, and, you know, having that connection, it really develops you as a person. So it was a blessing to have that person that I found. And then, you know, coming up this game, I feel like I'm a winner already, because I've got that pure friendship and genuine connection with someone.
Speaking of relationships, there's just something that I feel like the island and that environment does to make these relationships happen and form so quickly. It's like two magnets coming together. And the fact that you found that in somebody, I really love. And I feel so much happiness for the two of you, because even seeing you guys post together, I'm like, oh, they're together. Like, I'm one of those. I'm like, they're together. Amazing. But speaking of relationships and kind of going back to a little bit of strategy, you and Viola are together. You're connecting with Mark as well. And then you have like the middle-aged mafia, like Caroline kind of circling you guys. Then you have Swap. You lose Viola, excuse me, and Mark to the other side. Then you literally lose Viola, and then you're with Winna and Charles, and then Charles goes home. Like, you had a lot of moments where myself as a viewer, I'm like, oh my God, how is she gonna come out of this? What can she do? And each and every time you were on the other side almost unscathed. Not saying you didn't have maybe like a few awkward moments with people, but what was it about, whether you think it's your own character, how you said you're a black and white player, or any kind of strategy that you developed while you're out there in that process that you think really helped you push through those really, really tough moments? And Scott as well, when he left, and that changed your entire game and your alliances.
Yeah, it's a very good question. You know, I feel like me as a person, I developed my character of adjusting to people, moving from Russia to Australia at 17. You know, I didn't speak English, didn't know anyone. So I was kind of forced into migrating myself in the best possible way to get, you know, to get a better job, better education and stuff. And I felt like I genuinely love people. Like, I love being with people. I like connecting. I like deep connection. So I truly believe if I'm losing my people, I still have a chance to connect with others. And when me, Win, and Charles got together and outnumbered, Charles, you know, after 2-3 weeks, it was like, Val, you are a slow burn, but man, once we got with you, you're there, like, you're present, you're fully into it, you're invested emotionally and as a player. And, you know, I feel like that's something valuable that I can give to others. At least they know, if I make a pact with you, and if I tell you to your eyes that, listen, we are together, I'm not going to screw you over, let's make it happen, it's going to happen. And that would happen with me, like, you know, voting against others. If they know me well enough, if I don't look in your eyes and if I don't say what I'm saying, it's not going to happen. So this is like a massive hint for you to know that I'm not playing with you. But a lot of people don't see, because everyone's trying to play a sneaky game. So you can never be sure if this is what it is, you know, in real life. So I feel like my genuine love for people and just that feeling of wanting to have the connection to get to know people on the personal level rather than trying to figure out their strategy, you know, that non-strategic talk is what gets you through. And that's what's most important, the connection, because if you're not talking about strategy and game, you're not connecting with them on a deeper level. And that's what I feel like helped me within the game itself.
Well, I think one thing that developed throughout the season was we're talking a lot about relationships here, because I think I can speak for Nina. You were a very good social player, maybe a little bit more than you even give yourself credit to, because you were able to kind of jump from these alliances and navigate votes. I think it was brilliant, the vote you did with Winna and Charles, when you guys had to choose between Kirby and Ferris. I thought that you were the person watching it play back that I'm like, I feel like the reason they're going with Kirby here is I feel like Val is like really leading this decision by being like, I don't trust Ferris. Like, that's why I want to go with Kirby. And we saw your relationship develop with Mark, which I think was a very interesting alliance, just because on paper, you know, I wouldn't pick out Mark and you being like this dynamic duo in a sense. So I would love to hear more about your relationship with Mark, and then put you in the position of who was your number one ally in the game. Was it Viola, or was it actually Mark, your number one ally in this game?
All right. Well, starting with the beginning of the game, we get aligned with Viola first, and then we got Mark as our third person. So if you go in, I'm a very fair person. If it goes all the way down to the end of the game with the top three with Mark and Viola, Viola is my number one priority.
Okay.
So, yes.
Sorry, Mark.
She'll be fine.
Yeah. So, and that's a fair play for me. And when it comes to developing our relationship with Mark, I knew from the get-go this guy would not backstab me. We have very different strategy. And after the game, actually, Mark was telling me, he was like, Val, you know what? You know, when we're not allowed to talk to each other, like going into the airport and stuff, I was like trying, like making little comments in my journal. So when I come back out of the game, I can see and compare my first impressions. And Mark put impressions for everyone. And I wasn't in the list. I was at the bottom as a non-member of that whole thing,
Mark!
saying that I said model looking girl cares about the hair, fake tan. I was like, mate, fake tan? This is real. I was like, think whatever about me, but it's not fake. But he did not even consider me as a player at all. So he was like, man, it was so crazy to watch you and actually like you. I was like, man, trust me, you need to try hard too for me to go along with you. But it was a good connection. He is big fan of the game. His whole wedding was themed by Survivor. Like, he knows so many ways. I've got so much knowledge from him, and he's very like soothing kind of player. You know, he likes to play safe. He's, you know, having all this A, B, C, D, E, F plans. Like, it's great to have that man next to you. Like, he's got a lot of intelligence behind him. So it was such an eye-opening when it comes to the game. Like, so many things that you don't know, he could just, you know, resolve straight away. So it was a good connection. I knew this guy wouldn't let me down. I knew he would be loyal to me. He's got the knowledge. He understands the game. And because he plays such a different game from me, it's so beneficial to have someone with another perspective. Because if it would be me and a copy me of, you know, barking and just going ahead and fighting everyone, that would be a killer of a strategy. Like, one person like this, like one pain in the whole game is already enough like this. You need to balance it out with the right people next to you who will calm you down, who will tell you, listen, wait, this is maybe rethink this moment, adjust that, and see how it works for you. So it was a very good combination of powers and intellect and the knowledge that combine us together to create a very good alliance together.
And I was just about to say, I'm getting the message that we have to wrap things up. So I had one quick question to ask you, Val, before we let you go. And that is, first off, You look beautiful today for these interviews, and we can't see much of the dress, but I'm just saying the dress I know is probably fire that you have on right now. And we have to ask, a lot of fans wanted to know, would you come back and play this game? Have you been converted to a Survivor fan now? Would you go out and play again?
I am the biggest fan. You guys think there are some super fans. I'm super of the fans. So definitely very loyal to the game. I'm going to watch it all. And when it comes to coming back, oh my God, so risky. You know, my heart was broken last night. I need to recover myself. Maybe, you know, some therapy for a couple of years. I feel like I have what it takes to come back and kind of adjust my game a little bit, you know, learn some lessons and see if I can do a better job this time. So I definitely have unfinished business that I think I can put into the game and hopefully perform a little bit better, just, you know, avoid the twists.
We also need some more quotes, like your last little dig at Raymond on your way out. I was like, okay, I love
it.
I only have 2 minutes left of my airtime. What are we doing?
That is perfect. Well, don't forget, Val is still in the game. We're going to get to watch her the rest of the season, be a member of the jury, and she's going to ultimately decide who takes home this $500,000 prize. Well, Val, thank you so much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure. And you have an open invite to come back on the show if you ever want to chat more Survivor with us.
Thank you so much, guys. It was such a pleasure talking to you.